Hello painters and friends! Let's step back a bit from our ongoing projects and look at preparing a bust before applying oil. It's a short video, but I believe it will help many people to make their work easier and learn some tricks. I have a simple bust of Napoleon from Alexandros models. It's a simple bust where there is only a body and a head in a hut. I would like to show one of the way I prepare a bust before using oil paints. I combined several steps together to show that they work and that you can use them at the same time. I already have the face and his right hand painted. Everything is dry, so I can start with the first step. I start applying Mascol. It is a thick masking liquid. It smells quite a bit, like rotten eggs. Its disadvantage is that this liquid is very difficult to work with. It is best to use a brush, but unfortunately it destroys brushes. That's why old and poor quality brushes are used, until recently. I was at the meeting of painters painting pictures. There was a mention of Mascol and some tricks on how to apply this product. And I learned that the best way is to use dishwashing liquid. I dip the brush in dishwashing liquid, wipe it on the edge of a glass and dip it in Mascol. This way I can apply Mascol without damaging the brush. A protective filter is created on the brush that prevents Mascol from getting between the hairs of the brush. Sometimes I wash the brush in water and dip it in dishwashing liquid again. This way I protect any brush. That's why I am not afraid to use quality brushes with a good tip. The first step is to cover the painted right hand. With the brush protected in this way, it's very easy. I apply Mascol with the brush that has a good tip, and therefore I can get the hard to reach places. Little by little, and in a moment the hand is covered in Mascol. Now I let it all dry. I prepare a grey paint which I apply to the white shirt he has under his green vest. That's where the right hand is tucked in. I apply the paint from the bottom up. Then I start applying a very light grey paint, almost white, from top to bottom. I apply everything with an airbrush. Once the paint is dry, I can proceed to the next step. I use Mascol again, dishwashing liquid and a brush with a good tip. I start applying Mascol to the grey shirt. I don't have to worry about anything. Mascol doesn't damage the base, the paint. Everything has to be dry. I let the Mascol dry and prepare Tack It, which is a special rubber modeling clay that you can buy in stationery stores. You can also buy AK camouflage material in a round can, which should work on a similar principle, but I haven't tried yet. I started covering everything around the vest because it was the vest's turn. So the coat collar, the coat lapels, the coat sleeves and anything that could be dyed green. Once everything was covered with the material, I started applying the green paint. Dark green from the bottom up and light green from the top down. I try to apply the paint only to the vest, but even if you try, it doesn't work very well with an airbrush. That's why I am protecting the surrounding clothing. The paint is applied and dried. I can start removing the material that I use to protect the coat. I use toothpick, which is wooden. It's better than tweezers because tweezers are metal and could ruin the painting. I would create scratches that would be difficult to repair. That's why I use a wooden toothpick which is soft and I'm more sure that I won't ruin the painting. Now I'm going to use the same material to cover the green vest. I'm going to use the toothpick to get the material into the corners. That way I have the green vest covered and I can move on to the grey coat. I started applying the dark grey paint to the dark areas, folds and depressions. Everything from the bottom up. Once I had the dark paint ready, I mixed up the light grey paint and started applying it from the top down. The paint is dry and I can remove everything from the bust, Tack It and Mascol. Large areas are very easy to remove. You just need to press a little of Tack It onto the other Tack It and it will start to peel off from the bottom up. For the Mascol, I use a toothpick to break up the surface and start to remove the Mascol. It acts like a rubber or chewing gum, but it comes off quite easy. I just have to be careful not to damage the painted things. The Tack It also helps, as it sticks to the dry Mascol and pulls it down. This is how I prepare the bust for subsequent work with oil paints. You can see that you can combine multiple techniques, multiple materials, overlay one over the other and take it down and cover other parts of the bust again. The only condition is to let everything dry well. Mascol and acrylic paint, which I use for underpainting. When working with oil paint, I have to be careful not to transfer the paint to the adjacent piece of clothing. This can be fixed with a clean brush moistened with thinner, but I wanted to avoid it. Thank you very much for your time, for watching the video to the end. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you soon!